Hi, I'm Ani,
And I'm Zeev.
and welcome to Wood-Fired Herping.
Today, we're broadening our focus from any one particular trip or place and taking a look at the region we do most of our herping and exploring in, Southern California. We're going to take a look at the incredibly diverse habitats that make up SoCal, some of the coolest herps we have to offer, the beautiful vast nature to explore, and of course, we're going to feature just about the most typically millennial California recipe we could come up with. When we started talking about doing this episode, we actually scrapped the idea a few times before coming back to it. The thought of trying to tackle something as monumental as herping Southern California was really daunting.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
And, we were like, how are we going to bring it? How are we going to be able to shove all of it into a small little episode?
We're not. We're going to barely scratch the surface. We could start a whole new podcast, have 200 or 300 episodes devoted just about Southern California,
sunny
and
Southern
still not sum it all up.
I love it. It's home. It's home for me.
We're not even going to try to be comprehensive. We're just going to kind of scratch the surface.
I love it. I love it here. I think California is so vast with the habitats that it has and the creatures it has that I feel like every time you go out, you're always going to discover something new. You're going to see something new, and it's just a beautiful place.
Yeah, this episode's just going to be a couple of SoCal natives talking about what we love to do best. If we forget something, if we overlook something, we'll get to it in another episode for sure.
And then you can always, drop us a little comment or a DM on the Instagram at Wood-Fired Herping.
Get the plug in early.
Of course. You can never forget it. Never forget it.
Never. One of the coolest things about Southern California is you can herp year-round. There's never a month where you can't hit the field and find some cool shit. Change up your targets, your methods, and your destinations, and you're basically all set. In fact, this year I'm trying to document a snake every month of the year, which isn't that hard to do. I just haven't done it before.
You've been pretty successful this year.
Yeah, I got my first snake of the year was 26th of January. I was really worried in January I wouldn't make it. And then right at the end of January, I got a little baby Southern Pacific rattlesnake. And then in February, pretty early in February, I headed out to the deserts, actually, which is insane in February to hit the deserts. I headed out with another herper, Chris DeGroof, who's going to be on an episode in the future, hopefully. And we set out to the far eastern deserts of California to try to find some snakes in February, which, again, is insane. But we succeeded. Yeah. Found a little baby speckled rattlesnake, which I'll be posting so you'll see it. And every month since then has been crammed full of just awesome herping all over the state.
It's been a very snaky year so far, for sure.
It really has, especially compared to last year. Last year was a really tough year.
I feel like last year was it was basically just driving around to enjoy the scenery.
Lucky gas was so much cheaper last year.
Oh my goodness gracious. I think that was the biggest plus, is we weren't spending as much going out there. So it didn't hurt as much.
2-3 times as much to fill up the car now.
Yeah.
It's hurting. So luckily, the very few trips that we are taking are being successful. We're finding what we're looking for.
They're paying off for sure.
Even though we're barely halfway through the year, I've been herping all over the state already. I've been in 10 counties, in mountains, deserts, coastal valleys, everything in between. And none of it's more than like an hour or two away from home. That's what I love so much about SoCal. You can get all those habitats just right in your home.
It's right here. Within a few hours of in each direction, you're getting every terrain you can think of.
Yeah, you can hit them all in one day, honestly.
Yeah.
There's one of the herping challenges in Southern California that I've never even attempted, but maybe one day. It's called the Grand Slam. So you go up to the mountains in the morning and you find a rubber boa and a mountain king snake. Mm-hmm. And then at night you head down to the desert and you find a rosy boa and a California king snake. You get both boas and both king snakes in one day.
I mean, that's challenge accepted.
That's challenge.
We still have time for it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
That'll make a great episode, okay?
That would be a great
Everyone
episode.
would love to hear our
I only
banter.
know of two people who've successfully done it. Yeah, 2 or 3.
And actually found them?
Actually found all 4 in one day.
No shit.
Yeah. They did it early in the year when you can still find the desert species during the day rather than at night. And I think they were done by late afternoon. We found all 4, and
No
that's
shit.
it. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Challenge accepted. We're going to find it all in the morning.
Yeah, I've seen, except for the mountain king snakes, I've seen all the species already this year. So, I just need to now condense them all into one day. 1 day, yeah. And
A 1 day adventure. Yeah.
As well, and then we're all set. So depending on what you're looking for and what time of the year it is, you do all kinds of different herping in Southern California. One of our early trips this year, after I'd headed out to the desert and found that speckled rattlesnake, which was really out of the ordinary, one of the early trips we took together was to Riverside County, where we were looking for all kinds of early season herps.
Yeah.
So early season herps, you go out in March, April, February, March, April, depending when.
We went in March?
Beginning of March, yeah. We're out there looking for all kinds of cool stuff. Mostly we were looking for new spots that we haven't been to before. On the last episode...
a lot of exploring.
We did a lot of exploring, yeah. We did less herping and more exploring. Well, one of the things we talked about on the last episode with Danny was just how... we talked about flipping for boas and how hard popular spots get hit.
Yeah.
And you go in, and they're getting hit way too early for no reason. People are hitting them on, the 1st
People
of January and 2nd of
happy.
January. Yeah. They see, it's a sunny day, it's a warm day today, let me go hit them. And it just kind of ruins the spots for the rest of the year. So for that reason, we like to find new spots, not only so that we're not flipping after people, but also just to...
never touched places.
Right, just to lessen the impact, I guess, on the habitat.
Yeah.
So we kind of pushed further out than we normally go. Trying to find some new spots. And we did. We found some new spots that we didn't find anything in them this year, but we kind of have them marked for next year now to go in better conditions. It wasn't a great day for herping, but it was the day that we were free.
It was like 9 o'clock, and it was like bitterly hot already.
But early in the year like that, for the animals we're looking for, you don't want it to be too hot.
No.
You want, nice high 60s, low 70s, mid 70s. Partially cloudy, kind of nice, gentle weather.
It was already,
and it was 80s and just hard sun. Yeah, maybe even. I think it got into the 90s that day. Actually,
I think it got into the 90s, and you can tell we were missing things by, we were finding tracks. We found a fresh shed in one place. We were finding stuff. It was just flipping
too hot,
things, and we were finding the holes for them.
And it was pretty dry and hot as it was, and so we were kind of restricting our flipping anyway, knowing that A, probably wouldn't be too successful, and B, when you're flipping and it's that dry, the rock shot, so we're kind of hoping that it would rain in the next couple of weeks and we could go back, and it never did because we're in a drought.
Welcome to sunny Southern California.
But it was cool. So we did that. We spent all day out there, and we found a couple hillsides that we can definitely go back to.
Definitely. That we definitely have marked, and they were fun to kind of go up and climb into, just to kind of do a little observation of the area. So we saw some. It wasn't too snaky of a day. No. But it definitely still felt like a big payoff.
One of the great things about herping in Southern California is you can go out and get skunked and still have a great day.
Yeah, 100%.
So much of what you're exploring and going through is so beautiful.
It's the land too.
So new, and every half hour you're in completely new terrain.
It's
and
ever
so even
changing.
If you're not finding stuff, it's obviously better to find stuff. Always better.
Yeah.
But even if you're not, you're just constantly having these new experiences, and you stop for lunch and you go on a hike and you find this lake and then you go up this canyon, and it's just a good time.
You just take the side roads you see it on a satellite, on the little satellite map. You see a side road and you're like, screw it, let's go up it, and it's just the whole adventure of it. Every few miles it almost feels like everything begins to change. It almost feels like a completely different zone that you're in. The reason that I love California so much is that you can only be about an hour or two away from home, but it genuinely feels like you're in a different state. Absolutely. In certain areas you go in, especially like Riverside County, certain areas of it you're like, what buttfuck Kansas am I in? And it changes so much. And I know sometimes you're out there and you're like, man, I don't feel like we're in California. Yeah. In reality, you're only an hour away from LA or less from LA.
Yep.
And it's just so vast and ever changing. And that's why I feel so happy here in LA. I love Los Angeles. Like, I love California.
Yeah. It's got some downsides. But, it does. Which we don't have room for in this podcast. But I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons.
100%.
We took a couple early trips out there. We had some other results. We got, people out in Riverside County, like we talked about, are usually looking for boas, looking for king snakes. Mm-hmm. We found a couple of both. I'll be posting pictures of them. You can be jealous of our finds. We found some nice ones.
Go ahead. Do the selfish plug.
You beat me to it.
No, you have to do it again.
We'll be posting them on our Instagram, at Wood-Fired Herping.
Exactly.
Where you can find posts about our episodes. You can find the link to our website. You can find our bios. You can find recipes. Find anything you want. At our Instagram.
Look, at Wood-Fired Herping.
There we go.
Look, it's like, when you're reading a book, right? And at every page, the title of the book is at the very top, as if you've forgotten what you were just reading.
Do people still read books?
Hell, I do.
I read books.
I do. Paper. I don't even read digital. I read paper books.
You're a dinosaur.
I am.
So that's kind of early herping for us. And then within about a month after that, we're ready to start hitting the mountains. And so we did. We hit the mountains. We hit them hard. We actually hit them harder than we have in previous years. I was really determined to find the mountain king snake this year. Mm-hmm. And I just have this curse, man, that I just can't seem to find them. I'm in the perfect places, perfect rocks, perfect mountains,
everything.
Perfect days, perfect conditions. And people that'll go before me or after me flip them. Sometimes I've had people go and flip them under the same rocks that I flipped like the next day, and the mountain king snake was there. And so at this point, I'm taking it a little personally. I think they have it out for me.
They know you're coming, man.
A little circular goes out.
They have like a board meeting, you know. All right, guys. Today's Eve is coming.
It feels like it. So we tried hard. We went to the mountains, a couple different mountain ranges. Went to the Sierra Nevadas, the San Bernardino Mountains, San Gabriel Mountains. We have a lot of mountain ranges nearby to go to.
Which are my personal favorites to hit.
The mountains?
Yeah, the mountains are my personal favorite to hit.
Mountains are cool. We went to, actually a couple of times we went to the mountains. We had our buddy Greg with us.
Greg.
Who will be in an episode coming up. We have two Gregs coming up for you in episodes coming up. One of them we went to the mountains with, and
you know which Greg you are.
He has a cool YouTube channel you can check out called Schechter Natural History. He'll be talking more about that when he's on the podcast. But in the meantime, you can go check out our mountain adventures there.
You'll peep us in his videos too.
Yeah, he has a cool video there of what we found. We had a great day, even though we didn't find mountain king snakes.
But we found a whole bunch of other stuff.
Found a lot of stuff.
Yeah. That day was actually really good. That was a fruitful day.
That was our first really fruitful day of the year. We had some good days before that, but that was our first big number day of the year. Yeah, we're finding racers and ringnecks and rattlesnakes and gopher snakes. And
you know what was fun about this one was, I've found a lot of snakes with you.
Yeah.
But this was the first time that I flipped. It was a chunk of wood, and I flipped it, and it was a racer right there.
Yeah, it was your first flip. Never forget your first flip.
I yelled for you, and you were like,
I was in the middle of photographing a skink, and I was over in the rocks half a mile away. It felt like, and I just levitated.
I've never seen you.
You didn't say what it was. We're over there.
That's
for
the thing.
King snake, and you flipped it, and you're just snake.
No, that's the thing. I didn't even say snake. I just started yelling for you because I didn't know what it was before I could touch it.
You were yelling Zeve, and I was like, "What?" And you yelled snake, and I was like,
Once you had gotten there, I said snake. I was like, "Bro, I'm so excited. I couldn't even fucking think of the word. Snake didn't come out of my mouth."
Yeah.
But that was the first time I flipped something. I was so exhilarating. It's to do.
It's a high.
It is a hella high. It's addictive.
Once you do it once, you're hooked.
Now I'm hooked. Now I'm like, let me flip something else.
Ani's birthday was recently, and She reaches out to me on her birthday, and this never would have happened a couple of years ago. She goes, she messages me. She goes, "Hey, for my birthday,
let's go
you want to
herping."
take me out herping?"
Oh
I showed it to my
man,
wife, Ellie. I was like, "I swear I didn't pay her to say this. Like, I've just gotten her hooked."
that was fun though. That's when we went like borderline off-roading, herping.
That was insane. Anyway, so yeah, the mountains are really cool. You get a couple months here in Southern California of good conditions for the mountains. That's not true. You can herp the mountains all year round for different things. For what we were looking for, you get a couple months of good conditions.
Good time for it.
And we hit it hard. I went a couple times with Ani. I went a couple times on my own with. I went a couple times with other herpers. And we had great trips every time. I had just big numbers every time.
Every time. I remember some of the times you went to the same mountain ranges I had been with you previously, but some of the times that you went, I was currently working, so I couldn't join you. But I remember seeing your Instagrams coming in of just snake after snake, after lizard after snake, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, one of the coolest finds this year was actually on the way back from the mountains. We went up north to the Sierra Nevada mountains, and we went up through the Central Valley of California and came back through the Central Valley. And on the way back, we were cruising through the Central Valley, and we actually cruised a long-nosed snake, which, if you've ever herped the deserts of California, you know that they're one of the more common snakes we find in the deserts. They're kind of all over the place. Sometimes you'll see multiple a night. But once you get away from the desert and start going towards the coast,
very rare.
they get harder and harder to find. In the Central Valley, I mean, I know they're found there. There's historical records of them. It's not like a range extension or anything that I found it, but I personally don't know of anyone else who's found a long nose there in the Central Valley, although I'm sure it's happened several times in the past. So that was really, really cool. I got some really great pictures of it, which, again, I'll post. But that was a really, really, really cool early year find to kind of get the day, again, to kind of get the year going. And it was funny, we were out looking for tricolored snakes all day, mountain king snakes, and got skunked, and then we ended with a very unexpected tricolored snake, which was fun. Although all the mountains in Southern California are pretty near to each other, the habitats in them can be pretty different. Whether you're going from the mountains down in San Diego County, Laguna and Palomar Mountains, the San Jacinto, the San Bernardino Mountains, San Gabriel's, each one you go into is a different kind of herping.
It's a different world each
You're
time.
looking for different species in each mountain range usually, and the way to herp is different. They have very different habitats, different rock structure, different forests, and it's really kind of taken years of herping them to kind of dial in what you want to do in each mountain range.
In each region. Which
is pretty cool if you think about it. You have all these mountain ranges that sprung up, you know, more or less at the same time, and they sprung up and just became these such different environments.
Each their own, like, entity.
Yeah. We live right in me especially, I live in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains, and Ani lives nearby the San Gabriel Mountains. And the San Gabriel Mountains are probably, in my opinion, the hardest of the mountain ranges to herp. They're very steep, very vertical mountains. There's few access roads, and the access roads that do exist are very busy. They're highly trafficked. And
I remember
hiking into them, the hiking trails that are easy are full of people and are in bad habitat, and the hiking trails that are in good habitat are really hard
to get to.
Yep. And then in summer when you're trying to road cruise, it's just tough because there's cars coming around blind corners. You have no shoulder to pull off onto.
ATVs, all kinds of stuff.
It can be tough to herp. But that makes it all the more rewarding when you do find stuff.
You do find something. We have this little road local to us that cuts into the San Gabriel Mountains that was closed for 30-something years due to fire damage, and they recently reopened it. And so that is not really very well known yet, this little road. And it's not in very good shape. You have to really, we take on his Jeep when we do this road, even though it's technically a paved road. We still kick that. We still kick it into four-wheel on this one.
There's some real deep potholes and drop-offs and washes and stuff. But what's cool about this little road is that hardly anyone knows about it. It's around this little hidden blind corner. And unless you're kind of pulling into the road already, it looks like the gate's still closed. And so this has kind of been our private little herping road for the last year. We've had some cool finds on there and some cool times, but not what we're hoping to find yet.
Yeah, it's fun. There's something about this particular road. So, okay, I hate spiders. I don't like spiders. But for some weird reason, every single time we've gone up there, I have discovered tarantulas. And I'll like slam on my brakes and I'm like, tarantula. And he's like, what are you talking about? We'll go out there and there'll be one just kicking it.
Yeah.
There's so much life in this little area that we go to.
It's like a little corridor. It goes along the ridge of this middle mountain range. It goes along the peak ridge.
Yeah.
And it's a little pocket of life.
Yeah, because it hasn't been open for a very long time. It's not just this, reptile life that's there. The actual wildlife there, they're not afraid of you because they don't know what you are.
They haven't been exposed to cars very much. I mean, the occasional forest vehicle would have gone through, and now in the last year, more cars are going through. But
not major traffic. Yeah.
It's not major traffic. As far as I know, there hasn't been any roadkill on the road yet, and so they don't know. They don't know to be scared of you. And one of the most abundant animals up there is the gray fox.
Yeah.
Which we don't see very often in LA. They just chill. And they just we drive up on them, and they just kind of sit there. They sit down on the shoulder, and they just kind of watch us. We watch them. They watch us. If we try to get out of the car, they bolt. But as long as we're in the car, they just kind of watch us, and we go on our way.
They just sit, and then by the time they're bored, they just dip.
I was going to say, though, about your tarantulas. It was actually interesting. We were having this conversation on a Facebook group a couple of days ago that the reason we were seeing so many was it was August going into September, and that's when the males start to wander looking for females. They're fall. It's a fall activity. In the deserts, it's a little later, and in the Mojave Preserve, I've seen them do it. And from September until November, you're kind of driving around and in the afternoon or at night, and they're kind of crossing the roads or walking on their shoulders, and it's these males just roving around looking for females. And if you think of the mountains, it starts a little earlier. I don't know for sure, but I know we started seeing them in August there, whereas in the desert, I've never seen them before the end of September.
Thought I had some kind of, sixth sense.
I mean, maybe you do.
Maybe I have a tarantula calling and I just don't know.
Maybe they're out there wandering, looking for you.
Looking for me.
Yeah. Sleep with one eye open.
Christ, I'm going to sleep with both open. If it's got 8 legs, I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. But yeah, so the San Gabriels are pretty hard. But we try anyway because they're local to us, and we're gonna find stuff there eventually. But
it's our home base. We're definitely gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
Any chance we get.
And the mountains that we've had the most success in, like most people, are the Sierra Nevada mountains. Mm-hmm. It's a mountain range that just kind of cuts through the center of California, going northwards, from really the edge of Southern California all the way up out of the state northwards, and it's just such a thriving, beautiful mountain range. We go to all different parts of it. The southern Sierra Nevadas, the central Sierra Nevadas, the eastern slope is really cool too. Going into the desert, there's some really cool places on the eastern slope where you get desert species coming up and meeting these mountain species. It's a really good time. Once we're done with the mountains, once it starts getting too warm for the mountains, too warm and dry, we start heading into the desert,
Move on to the next region of
late land. April, May, June, July, August. We're in the desert. We spend a lot of time in the desert in Southern California.
I thought we were just naming months here.
At the same time that the mountains are really good for herping, it's also everybody's favorite time in Southern California. It's flipping season. We spend a lot of time in Southern California flipping. Most of that is flipping artificial cover. So boards of wood that we put out, carpets, trash. Whatever. Trash is especially good.
One man's trash is another herper's treasure.
That's right. Some of my best friends this year actually were in trash piles. Got an absolute screamer baby boa in a trash pile.
We got a 6-foot rope fat gopher.
The biggest gopher snake I've ever seen. I mean, I was holding this thing above my head, and its head was still on the ground. I was holding the tail above my head, and its head was still on the ground.
It was I'll never forget. Thick
as my wrist. I mean,
I'll never
literally
forget
as thick
that.
as my wrist. That was huge, and that was just under a little piece of trash. I mean, it was
like construction
small.
trash.
Yeah, which is great. We're gonna have a whole episode about flipping at some point, so we're not gonna get too into it now. But while it's still kind of humid and green and moist
and
here in Southern California, we do a lot of flipping. We flip in the mountains, we flip by the coast, we flip everywhere. We flip everywhere that we find anything to flip, we flip.
This is the first year I've invested in gloves.
Right.
I didn't realize how important they were until I would torch my fingers and be all worried about
gloves.
what's underneath.
I think I'm on my third pair of gloves for the year already. And these are good gloves.
Oh, you tear through them.
Yeah. And basically anything you see that you can flip, you flip. Sometimes we're driving and we just see a random thing on the side of the road. I'm like, let's stop. And we just stop, get out and flip it, keep going, you know.
But we got so this is kind of a little teaser for it, but we've got tons of stuff coming up for flipping. We have recordings of in the field that we're definitely going to be sharing with y'all.
Yeah.
So definitely stay tuned. This is kind of to whet the interest here, but we will be coming at you with a flipping episode to tell you about all our trials, tribulations, sadnesses, and excitements when it comes to flipping.
Sounds about right. Anyway, once flipping season is over, and that's usually when it gets a little too hot and dry for stuff to be staying under cover during the day, we start venturing out into the desert.
Kick it into gear, off to the desert.
Kind of late April, beginning of May, we start heading out there. In the beginning, it's more for the daytime stuff, for lizards and tortoises. You know, we're out there looking for chuckwallas and collared lizards and all kinds of really cool desert lizards. And the ubiquitous tortoise, which seems to pop up in every episode.
That it is. It's the... What is the obligatory? Is that the word? Obligatory?
Sure. Yeah, the obligatory.
Tortoise talk.
We should make our little theme music and have a little segment for
tortoises.
Tortoise talk.
Yeah, it's the Tortoise Talk Hour.
We love them.
That's a podcast on its own.
I think has been well established at this point. We love them.
We love them.
They're awesome. And we go looking for them every year.
Yeah.
And we find them. And they're cool. And they're awesome.
It's tradition.
And I don't know if I've mentioned that they're cool and awesome yet, but in case I haven't, they're cool and awesome.
They're really cute.
And if any tortoises are listening,
we'd like a sponsorship.
Yeah. And once it starts to warm up, we start to hit the deserts for road cruising, which also was going to be its own episode. And so we won't get too much into that. Remember at the beginning we said how impossible it would be to cover herping in Southern California in one episode.
We got to break this up.
We're not even going to try.
We're
just going to tell you that we go road cruising in the deserts. We'll briefly tell you that we went out, about 2 weeks ago now? 3 weeks ago?
Maybe Mid-May, a little bit more.
We went out back to the Mojave, the eastern Mojave, like we talked about in our very first episode, to do a little herping. And conditions weren't great. It was a full moon. It was actually the largest full moon of the year, of the something.
I'm not sure.
It was a super moon.
It was
and then we also had the blood moon.
Yep.
Which was cool. And so we did more daytime herping than we did nighttime herping.
We did hard daytime herping.
We did a little hard, and we actually found every single lizard species to be found out there, except for Gilas, of course.
Of course.
But they're coming. They're coming next year, or the year after that.
The year after that.
We'll find them eventually. But other than that, we saw every single lizard species there was to see out there. We went mountains, we went to the dunes, we went to... When I say mountains, I mean the desert mountains. This is all desert. We went to the desert mountains, the dunes,
volcanic
the plains, the lava flows, and there's really no lizard out there that we didn't see. We found the desert horned lizards, which are awesome.
Awesome. There's so much attitude in such a little creature.
They're really not hard to find. We generally see a couple every time we go out there.
Yeah.
But they're so cool.
We're seeing them on the sides running up and stuff, and that was the first time I took my partner with us. That was the first time that she got to experience
the
herping.
Desert and herping, yeah.
And at one point we were driving in the night, we were road cruising, and there's so much dust and sand and everything's flying. And I think we talked about it in our previous Mojave episode. I convinced Zeev to carry walkie-talkies with us. So he's in a car in front of me, and I'm driving, and I walkied in. I was like, stop. I saw something. And I run out, and sure enough, in the dust and dirt was the cutest little gecko. And I brought it over to her, and I was like, look what I found. And she was like, how the hell did you see that? And I was like, I don't know, but look what I found. And we literally saw, like, name it in that trip, we saw it as far as lizard. It was really great. Packed.
Which is cool because last year I went out to the same part of the desert, a different time, and as far as lizards go, we didn't have that much luck.
No.
Last year in general was pretty bad, and we'll talk about a little bit more about that at the end. But We didn't see nearly as many lizards. We saw a couple. We saw a couple that we talked about, leopard lizards and a couple cool stuff, but not nearly what we did this year. One of the cool things in relation to lizards actually out there is we met up with a herpetology class in the Mojave National Preserve. It's a class from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. It's the class of Dr. Emily Taylor, who is super cool. And hopefully you're listening, Dr. Taylor. We'd love to have you on the podcast.
And it was a pleasure.
It was super cool to meet the whole class and to just kind of meet a bunch of newer and more experienced herpers who are out there just doing research, doing science. One of Dr. Taylor's students is doing a long-term study there on lizards, and I'm not going to get into exactly what she was studying, A, because I don't want to misquote it, and B, because it'll be published when it's published.
When it's published, yeah.
But there's really, really cool stuff, and we got to help out with them. We got to help out looking for lizards, catching them, recording data, and seeing just a bunch of really great species in some really cool places that normally I might not have stopped and spent time in.
And investigated in.
And so that was really cool.
This is the same group that we mentioned in our episode with Danny. I think we kind of touched on it, that they kind of came up to us and they were really excited about the podcast. This is a great group of folks.
Yeah.
So it was a really very, cool. Very good time.
We actually met a couple people there who are hopefully going to be on the podcast in the future.
Hopefully.
We
can convince
from
them.
all over the state, from all different walks of herping, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was cool. And we did some night cruising. We did 2 nights of night cruising. The first night we were under the full moon and really didn't see anything. We saw 2 geckos the whole night.
That was it.
And there's a lot of debate, and there's some debate in the herping community about road cruising and what the moon phase does to it. We'll talk more about that in detail when we do our road cruising episode, but suffice to say, we are believers that in general, as a general rule, there are exceptions always, but as a general rule, the brighter the moon, the worse your herping is going to be.
Yep.
And that was certainly proof we did.
Last year, it was so bad, we were so desperate. We didn't go out during the full moon. We just road cruise until we'd find something. But we had a couple of nights where we found 1 or 2 during a full moon.
We did. Actually, my lifer thread snake, blind snake, was during the full moon. But that was because it was so humid. It was such a hot, humid night.
That's right.
That the full moon mattered less. I think the moon... Okay, I'll get into it now. The moon matters, but it doesn't matter as much as other factors. If there's other factors overriding the moon, those I think will take precedence over the moon, in my opinion.
I mean, all I'm hearing right now is your thesis paper, bro. So I'd get on it.
So the second night we were there was the blood moon, and so not only was that the longest lunar eclipse, of the last decade or something like that, it was also a really cloudy and humid night as well. So the clouds were covering the moon for a decent amount, and we had some decent luck. We got out there in some of the mountain ranges out there we were cruising, and we saw some of your regular suspect. We saw the long-nosed snakes, sidewinders. We got a really nice speckled rattlesnake, and we just had a good time. And that's kind of what you do this time of year in the deserts. You go road cruising. And after we came back from that trip, I've been going out to the desert pretty regularly, sometimes every night after night for a week or more, coming back at 7 a.m., sleeping for a couple hours, waking up and getting back out there. Really been hitting it hard.
You're going whole hog, man.
And been having some really killer finds.
Yeah.
The desert this year is definitely not as good as it would be in a quote-unquote normal year. But compared to last year...
Better than last year, man.
Compared to last year, we're absolutely killing out there. As we start getting into the summer and kind of the hotter part of the year and out of late spring, the desert does slow down a little bit at night. It just gets so hot. There are nights where the nighttime lows don't drop below 90 degrees, and it's a little too hot to be out there looking. We're out there looking anyway. We're just not finding as much stuff. But
you still give that last push effort.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be road cruising through summer all the way into fall. And so what you can do is you start road cruising instead of the desert. You start road cruising the mountains when it gets really hot. You go up high. You go into the hills. You go near the coast. Whatever it is, you find where the temperature is.
Most optimal to start cruising.
Yeah, one thing we say is go where the conditions are good, not where you want to go. Don't chase the conditions. Don't let the
Sometimes you gotta uproot your plans. Sometimes you gotta switch them around.
Do a full 180 and just go where it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
The other kind of environ in Southern California is the coast. We have the coastal mountains, especially living here in Los Angeles. You get the Santa Monica Mountains that basically just kind of go right down into the ocean.
This is a region that I haven't really explored too much with you, but it's definitely something I want to explore more of.
Yeah, I haven't herped there nearly as much as I want to. I think for a long time I kind of stayed away from it because it's in the middle of LA.
Yeah.
And I always just thought, how good can it be? It's surrounded by city on all sides, the ocean on the other side. But this year I've been hitting it, and it's actually astonishingly good.
Really?
The coast is active year-round. You get, from winter through to fall and everything in between. There's stuff all around, and it's because the Santa Monica Mountains, the habitat is continuous from the peak all the way down to the beach. You get the species all the way through. So you get mountain king snakes down on the beach. You get rattlesnakes right down on the beach. You get racers, gopher snakes. There's garter snakes in the canyons. It's a really thriving and live. We went. My best day of the year actually was in the Santa Monica Mountains. I went out there with Greg, and he has a video on his YouTube channel of this day as well. And I think we saw, I don't remember exactly, but well into the double digits of snakes. We were just seeing snake after snake after snake. There's a short hiking trail from where we parked to the spot that we were going to. And every pass we would take of walking, it's like a 10-minute walk, we'd find something and we'd be like, okay, we're going back to the car now. We'd go back to the car and we'd find something on the way. We'd be like, all right, we'll do one more. We would find something.
Basically road cruising on foot.
And we found, like I said, well into the double digits of snakes. And so it's a really thriving place. You got to hit it when the conditions are right.
Yeah.
But there is activity there year round, and it's super cool.
I definitely want to hit that section in that area, give it a little bit more attention.
And there's cool coastal habitat all the way down the coast, all the way from San Francisco. From the northern tip of California to the southern tip, there's great stuff. There's the Santa Ana Mountains in Orange County, which isn't quite on the coast, but they get that coastal influence. They get the coast, the wind and the moisture from the ocean. As you go north, you get the Diablo Range up further up. You get all kinds of stuff in between that is really cool. And it's an area. Well, I guess it's more than an area, but the coast in general is a region that we don't spend enough time herping.
Yeah, because you wouldn't think the coast.
It's not exotic as a place to go. You want to go to the desert to find these exciting species, or you go to the mountains to find these exciting species. It's not exciting in that sense, but it's really cool, and there are some cool species you can find.
Yeah.
Once we kind of get out of summer, which is a little slower, like we said, and we get into fall, baby herp season starts, which is one of my favorite seasons.
You start finding all the little ones.
You go out, you're driving along and you're just seeing baby snake after baby snake after baby snake.
Yeah.
Breeding season for herps in California seems to be anywhere between March and late May, early June, somewhere in there. And so they're having babies, between late July and September, usually. Give or take, and some things are different, but for the most part. And so starting in September and October, there's baby stuff everywhere. There's baby lizards. There's baby snakes. Last year, we didn't see any. Last year, I don't think I saw a single baby snake during baby season because it was such a tough year.
Really?
Snakes weren't breeding.
We didn't see... I could have sworn we saw one or two.
No, we didn't see any babies.
Oh.
Our last snake... We went up in September. We went up to the high desert. And we did the one cruise in the smoke of the fire.
That's right.
Found a couple snakes.
That's right.
And then that was in September. And then we found one more snake in October, the little rattlesnake that we flipped near home here. We flipped it on a railroad tower when we were putting boards out.
That's
right. That was the last snake of the year in October because it was such a tough year last year. So we didn't see any babies last year. But it's my favorite season normally. And this year I'm really looking forward to it because there's been a lot of breeding activity. There's a lot of movement that seems like we should have a really nice fall. And so road cruising in the fall can be really cool. Conditions can still be good.
Get a little bit more baby action.
You got to go a little slower. You got to pay a little more attention, but you can really pay off.
It's not going to be a rope across the highway as it usually is.
A little twig.
Yeah, literally. And then going into the winter, it's definitely slower.
Slows down.
But it's still doable. I think we did it. Oh, no.
Well, last year we didn't. But in the past we have.
No, we have before.
The year before, I found a snake on Christmas.
That's right.
And so that was cool. But just herping in general, snakes slow down in November and December, but herping in general can be great, especially if you're looking at amphibians.
Oh,
Amphibians are year-round in Southern California.
I love frogs.
They're kind of easiest to find at the end of the year and the beginning of the year, right during winter when it's a little wetter usually. Well, not usually, but sometimes, every once in a while, Southern California
decides to cry.
Has a little bit of waterfall from the sky, and everyone loses their mind, doesn't know what's happening.
Everyone forgets how to drive. Amphibians are at it.
Yeah, and so that's when we really look for them. But you can find them year round.
Year round. So we found. I love looking for frogs, but one thing that I actually royally enjoy doing, and we've done it a couple of times, is looking for salamanders. Yeah,
so there's all kinds of amphibians here in Southern California. We can find their salamanders, newts, tree frogs, toads.
Newts are cool too.
Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff. And depending on the time of year, you just kind of adjust where you look for them, and you find them. During winter and spring, you can kind of find them more all over the place. Early spring, you can flip salamanders pretty much everywhere. My first herp of the year this year was a salamander, a flipped salamander.
I think I remember this.
And but as you get into summer and it's a little hotter, you got to go deeper into canyons. You want to look where there's water.
There's more water in the areas.
And when you're road cruising in summer in the mountains, often you'll find toads across the road or whatever. So you just find those little pockets of water, of moisture, and a little bit cooler weather, and there's amphibians year round. So that's really something that, when all other herping kind of dies down, you still have that you can fall back on. And so really you can herp every single month of the year. You can never stop herping.
That's why California is so great. There's just all year round.
California's pretty cool, especially Southern California. I can't speak to Northern California. I haven't done a lot of herping up there. I'm hoping to change that. If any of you listening are Northern California herpers and you want to extend an invitation to take me out and show me some cool spots,
me some herps,
and let me do it the cheating way by not finding my own spots, and that'd be cool. I don't mind.
I'm down for it.
I'll take your handouts. That's fine.
You extend the hand, I'll take it.
We're probably going to catch a fair amount of flack for this recipe. But, we figure we're talking about California. We're millennials, like it or not.
I am a valley kid through and through. So you know what? I 100%. Live for this.
It's unavoidable. You know what? It's great. I don't care what people say. Yeah. It's fucking delicious.
I had it this morning.
Avocado toast. We have it all the time. It's true. It's delicious. And it's absolutely delicious when you add wood fire into the mix.
100%. So for this recipe, you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need 4 avocados. Make sure they're ripe.
Yeah, you don't want them too hard. Sometimes in the store it can be a little hard to find ripe ones. It's okay. The softer the better. Even the ones with the black spots inside make delicious avocado toast.
Definitely.
Use the ripest you can find.
We don't discriminate.
No.
Then you're going to need 1 lemon, some olive oil, salt, pepper, and fennel pollen, which is totally optional. A sourdough loaf.
For the sourdough, you want to use not just your sliced store-bought sourdough. You want to get a whole loaf of it so that you can cut it yourself. You want one of those rustic country sourdoughs, one of those fresh baked with a thick crust. That's what you really want to use for that.
Yeah, the ones everyone was making during quarantine.
Exactly. So you should have a bunch of sourdoughs saved up. Yeah.
Your local LA neighbors got one cooking in their oven right now.
Absolutely.
And some of our favorites, which are totally optional again. These are some toppings that we recommend. You can do cherry tomatoes cut in halves.
Another pretty millennial ingredient.
100%. Fancy lettuce, a.k.a. arugula.
Spicy lettuce. Or roquette for European.
Some lovely fried huevos. Some eggs. Smoked salmon.
This is for when you really want to get bougie. When you want to make avocado toast as LA as you can.
When you're pretending to sip champagne in the
Or
forest. Actually sipping. Someone popped the Prosecco. Pomegranate and sunflower seeds.
That's really my personal favorite, actually. It's something that I've made for a long time. In one of the restaurants I worked, it was kind of an off-menu thing that I used to make. We had made our own sourdough in house, and we had avocado for something else, and I just kind of came up with this. These pomegranate seeds and sunflower seeds add the perfect pops of sweetness, savory, and texture into there. It's really, really good.
And honestly, anything else you want. For me personally, when I make it, I actually like to add ricotta cheese over the top.
It's delicious.
With a little olive oil.
Fresh burrata if you have it.
Yeah. I do it with some, crumbly feta sometimes. Yeah. Really anything that you want can go on this.
Trader Joe's, everything but the bagel seasoning.
100%. Sriracha. All of Trader Joe's.
Yeah. It's a perfect canvas. What I like about it is that it really is the perfect canvas to play with. You can add proteins on top, you can add other vegetables, you can add greens, whatever you want, and really it's hard to get bad toppings on it.
Yeah, and it's totally red, man. You can't go wrong with it.
So with that being said, you want to grab your sourdough loaf and slice the bread into thick, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick slices. You're going to drizzle those slices with the olive oil. One thing I want to say about the olive oil is always, always, always use the best olive oil you can find. There are many ways to save money with cooking. Saving it on olive oil is not one of the recommended ways to save money.
Yeah, and when you go for the more expensive one, I know unless you say EVOO, it won't come out the spout.
Extra virgin olive oil is what you want, EVOO, and you really can taste the difference. It's one of those ingredients that, is it really worth that extra $10 a bottle? Yes, 100%.
100%.
So drizzle that bread with the olive oil, set that aside, let the oil kind of do its thing and work its way into the bread. Slice open the avocados, cut them into large chunks. You definitely don't want to cut them too small, and I'll explain why in a minute. Throw them in the bowl. Take your lemon and zest the whole lemon over it. One of the tools you're going to need for this recipe is a microplane to zest, or if you have a grater that has a zesting attachment on it. Honestly, you can zest it with your knife too if you like. Zest the lemon. You want the zest of the whole lemon in the bowl and the juice of about half of that lemon. You can add more at the end. It's harder to take lemon out of it. So squeeze about half of it in right now. About 4 tablespoons of the olive oil. More to taste at the end. I like more than that. You might not. It is definitely a flavor that you can taste in the avocado mixture. So just add 4 tablespoons to begin with, and then at the end taste it and add more if you want. You're going to want a large, generous pinch of salt, a pinch of pepper, and if you're using the fennel pollen, do a pinch of that in there as well. You're going to start mixing it in the bowl with a spoon. Now, most people mix avocado with a fork, with a masher or something. I use a spoon. It takes a lot longer, but you get this perfectly creamy mixture because the spoon, because it's taking longer and doing it slower and softer. What you're doing is you're emulsifying that oil that you put in the bowl with the avocado, and you get this beautiful, rich, creamy avocado mash at the end. You really don't get if you just cut it up really small in the beginning, or if you use a fork. It comes together faster, but it doesn't really come together in that thick, satisfying way that this recipe will. Try both. Make 2 batches, one with a fork, one with a spoon. See which one you like better. It sounds crazy, but it really makes a giant difference.
Yeah, so I do like doing the spoon because even though you get the creaminess, you still get the little avocado chunks,
right.
If you do it with a fork, sometimes it just becomes pure puree.
Right.
So definitely
the spoon doesn't just blitz it,
yeah.
You can mix it until it gets to your desired consistency. I like it a little chunky, although usually that's just because I'm lazy and I don't want to mix it for too long. But now I'm used to it. But
I just like it chunky in general.
Just mix it until you're happy with the consistency. Go ahead and taste it. Add a little more salt, olive oil, lemon, whatever you need, and go ahead and set that aside. Set your grill grate over the fire and get that fire blazing. You want it really hot, and then let the flame start to die down a little so you have these really nice hot coals in your fire right under your grill grate. And then grill your bread about 30 to 45 seconds on each side, back and forth, so that they don't char, and just kind of flip them back and forth until you get to how toasty you like them. I like them pretty toasty, pretty crunchy. My wife likes it barely toasted, just kind of warm.
I like it in the middle.
Yeah.
I like it where it's crispy, but it's not going to cut up the roof of my mouth.
Hey, no pain, no gain.
You're right. Go bold or go home.
Grab your avocado mixture and spread it generously over the bread. You want it to be at least 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick on the bread. You really want it to be an abundance of avocado on the bread. So you go some places and you order avocado toast, and you get this like paper thin spread of avocado, or even worse, when they just slice the avocado and lay the sliced avocado on the bread. as if that's okay.
That's going to do anything.
As if that's acceptable.
Look, when I bite into an avocado toast, I want it to be so tall that the avocado hits my nose.
Yes,
as
100%.
I bite into it.
No, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
You have to.
Or
it's
you're
messy.
like wiping your nose afterwards because there's
right.
avocado.
It's messy. It's fun. It's delicious. This is probably the most LA we've been on this podcast till now, and probably the most LA we're ever going to be. But it's, trust me, try this and you'll understand. You'll understand the hype. So spread that avocado mixture over the bread, and then just go ahead and top it with your toppings. Like I said, I like pomegranate and sunflower seeds. That's more of a fall topping. Good pomegranate at least, isn't available year round. You can do, like we said, fried eggs. Fry a couple of eggs if you're breakfast time. Place your fried eggs over it. Really, whatever you want. Just kind of add your toppings on there. Drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil. If you want, zest a little more lemon on top. And you're done.
Yeah, I like to cut it in half and just take the meanest bite.
Yeah.
And enjoy.
Limitless possibilities with avocado toast. That's why we can't buy houses. Because we're spending all our money on avocado toast.
Money in Starbucks.
Yeah. Well, I don't spend any money at
Starbucks.
I don't know. You have to drag me kicking and screaming into a Starbucks for flavored water.
Unless we're out there, herping and we're like hella tired.
You have to understand, I grew up not in the United States. I grew up with real coffee, with good coffee.
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley.
Starbucks is flavored water. Their strongest coffee is flavored water.
It's sugar water, but you know what? Sometimes when you're out there herping and you're tired as all hell, it hits the spot.
No, sometimes when you're out there herping, it hits the spot.
Okay, yeah, but when I go to get it, you get it with
Starbucks. No, I don't.
I'm going to make you just as LA as me. Okay?
Good luck. I'm going to make you as foreign as me.
Oh, good luck.
One of the things we kind of alluded to earlier in the episode is how rough last year was for herping in California. And that has many reasons, but one of those reasons is the drought that we've been having in Southern California. We've had years and years of drought now. We're going into, I think, our 12th consecutive year of drought, I believe.
Is it really?
I could be wrong on that, and if I am, then I guess I'm
let us
wrong.
know.
But I believe we're in our 12th year of consecutive drought, and it's just gotten worse and worse since the drought started, of course. Now, last year we also had a couple other factors for that. We had, right as herping season was really getting to swing, we had some crazy fluctuation in conditions. We had weeks where some days the highs were in the hundreds, some days then very next day the high would be in the 50s.
It was weird
and
pockets.
Just really weird, and high pressure systems and low pressure systems, just really, really weird weather. And snakes don't seem to like weird weather. Even if conditions are good on a certain day.
I don't like weird weather.
Well, I care less about you. What would you like? I found that even if a certain day is good, if they've had weird weather coming behind it, they don't know what's going to happen, what's coming up next. They don't want to get caught with a meal in their belly if it gets cold.
Yeah.
They're creatures of habit. They like their routines and habits. It's going to be warm. We're going to come out. It's going to be days of warmth. We'll feed. And they didn't get that last year, and so that really kind of drove them down underground. But overall, the drought has really had a sobering effect on herps in California. The populations have been dropping, it seems like, and observations have been dropping. I personally don't know if there's been studies done on population trends over the last decade or so. Mm-hmm. I don't know how that study would be carried out, but it definitely seems, just from kind of what we're seeing out in the field ourselves and other herpers, and it's a subject of much conversation among herpers, that the population really has gone down. You know, it's not just that we're seeing less of them, there are less of them. And so because of that, because the drought is affecting herping so much, one of the things that we have to kind of focus on and be aware of is changing up the way that we herp. And we have to focus on ways to herp that have less impact on the environment, especially with how dry it is recently. We talked about flipping a lot. In the last episode, we talked about some. In this episode, one of the things that we've been trying to do is really limit ourselves with how we've been flipping. You don't want to flip every rock. You don't want to flip every log, every board, every piece of artificial cover. Because once you flip it, the thought is you flip it, okay, it'll rain again, it'll reseal it. Once it rains, we talked about this, I think, in the last episode. The rain comes in, soaks the ground underneath it, and creates the seal around a rock or board or anything, and creates this microhabitat again underneath it. Once you flip it, that microhabitat is shot until the next time the board is sealed. If it doesn't rain for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, or it doesn't rain significantly in that spot, it'll never reseal. Yeah, it'll cover that place. It'll be used as shelter, but it'll never be used as more than shelter. It won't be used as somewhere.
Microhabitat won't come back.
Right. And so that's something that we're really kind of trying to focus on, and especially with rocks and other essential refuges that are natural. Artificial cover we put out specifically for the purpose of flipping, and so I feel more justified in flipping those, I guess. Also, I feel like it hasn't, we put boards out, we put artificial cover out kind of wherever we want to. Mm-hmm. It's not a natural part of the environment. Whereas when we go looking for boas or mountain king snakes or something, and we're flipping these rocks, that's very much a natural part of the environment there. That's something that these animals have come to depend on for, centuries, millennia, their use of this stuff. Now, I don't think that when you ruin habitat by flipping too much and it's not, it's not resealing, I don't think that in and of itself is affecting the population of the reptiles. I think they're doing fine. They just kind of retreat underground. But it's definitely doing harm to our ability to find them. If these rocks are all shot, we're not going to go back and flip them and find these things there. And so, as the drought progresses and we kind of learn to live with it in other aspects of our life, we really have to be focusing on how we herp in a drought. We really have to focus on new ways to herp. It's also not just being responsible in the herp, but also just finding new ways to find stuff, because lots of methods of herping that worked in the past aren't necessarily great anymore now that it is so dry and hot. So we kind of have to find new ways to be doing that as well. Another thing that we kind of struggle with here in Southern California, we mentioned earlier that there's definitely some downsides to living in Southern California.
Yep.
Is the crazy rate of development in Southern California. Just expanding like crazy. It's like one of those stop motion animations, except you're watching it happen in real time.
Yeah, it's
you blink and there's a new housing tract.
It's all happening overnight, and I know local over here by you.
Yeah.
You have these lovely little hillsides, and in the city, you're in the city, but it almost also feels like you're in nature. One day I came over and it was perfectly fine. The next day I came over and it had already been bulldozed for...
Right. Yeah, there's a local hill here that I used to herp a lot, and it really was pretty much overnight. I mean, not literally overnight, but probably within about like 3 or 4 days. Yeah, there was perfect hill, pristine habitat, and 4 days later it was flattened, and an industrial complex was going up there. A couple of Amazon warehouses and a couple of other things like that. And so one of the things that we kind of work with, and that I try to work with in Southern California, is documenting a lot of protected species. We do have protected species in California. They're called SSCs, species of special concern. And in theory, if they live somewhere, that area is supposed to be off limits to development.
In theory.
All we can do is report that they're there. Now, these developers hire their own biologists to go in and say they're not there, and then they get clearance to develop on it. I don't know enough to really talk about what these biologists are doing, or whether they are finding them and lying, or they're just not finding them at all. So I don't want to get into that. But the fact of the matter is there are countless places where we've identified protected species, specifically in the cases I'm thinking of California glossy snakes, which are absolutely a threatened and dwindling species. And we've identified them and, kind of reported that they exist in these places. And within a month or two, these developers get their licenses anyway and just bulldoze it. And there's no more California glossies. There, another one here locally, specifically with the one that you were talking about earlier, is Blainville's horned lizards, or coastal horned lizards, which are another protected species that are disappearing, and they have a couple reasons they're disappearing. One is development and habitat loss, but another is that they eat their main diet is our native carpenter ants, and the carpenter ants are being driven out by the invasive Argentinian red ants, and so they just don't have their prey sources. And so in addition to that, the development is just kind of wiping them out, and they're in fewer and fewer places. So this place right here that went up almost overnight was one of the last few places in my area that you could reliably find them. You'd go out and see 3-4 in a hike, and now it's an industrial complex.
Yeah.
They don't exist there anymore.
It doesn't exist.
And so that's the case not just with herps, that's the case with animals across the board. Herps is kind of where I see it the most because that's what I work with. But it really is a monumental issue in Southern California. That is really one of the biggest cons of living and herping here, is seeing your favorite herping places turned into housing tracts over and over and over again.
And that kind of brings us to kind of our final wrap-up topic is the important aspect of California's conservation efforts. California, like I said, in my opinion, is not like any other state. So you have anything that switches from its most iconic beaches to its larger-than-life redwoods to its vast stretches of Mojave Desert and to its snow-capped peaks. And if we aren't careful, all the unique creatures and majestic features of California could one day be lost forever. Like Steve said, these major developments all here disregard the importance of native life, and it's causing it to disappear. So it's up to us to fight hard, really, to preserve it. One foundation or kind of group that works here in California is a Wildlife Conservation Board, which is the WCB, and I believe you can look them up at wcb.ca.gov. And they were originally created, I believe, by the California Land and Wildlife Department.
Fish and Wildlife?
Yeah, I believe so. But they became their own independent group, and they're an independent group with the authority to fund and carry out development programs for wildlife conservations. And so working along with groups like this, it really does help kind of heal California in certain ways. So one of their main purposes is purchasing land for the purpose of creating recreational land for wildlife, as well as the wild vegetation and plant life. This allows kind of California to restore itself and heal itself in certain areas, with a important factor that it also allows people to go and get exposed to the nature,
right,
and experience the wildlife that we see that's so important to us.
Right. One of the pros of Southern California that kind of counteract the cons that we were just talking about is that although development is spreading like wildfire, there are still so many places that are protected in Southern California. There's so much, whether it's state parks, national parks, wildlife refuges, preserves, that are pretty much protected in perpetuity. Mm-hmm. And we have this incredible opportunity to go out and experience all of them. And a lot of them are developed in the sense that there's roads, there's campgrounds, there's ways for you to explore them and see them. But a lot of them also are just remote,
they're just
protected,
there for you. Yep.
And they're open to the public because there are public lands, of course, but they're not developed to be
to house you like a campsite would.
Right. If you want to get in, you're hiking in.
Yeah.
You're kind of finding your own way in, which is really great. And so that kind of does help kind of assuage the sting that all the development brings. And
I think it's so important to kind of always keep it in mind, and when you want that break of suburban or industrial life, to take those moments and to step out into these preserved areas, because it lets you kind of see what's around you within the state that you're in, the creatures, the life, the wildlife.
I do want to say that if you're listening and you do go out to one of our beautiful national parks or state parks, all wildlife, all natural resources in national parks and state parks are completely hands-off. You're not allowed to handle them.
Yep.
You're not allowed to harass them, pick them up. You can photograph them as long as you don't touch them. But it doesn't matter what it is, as common as where it is, in national parks and state parks.
Off limits.
Hands off the wildlife.
Yeah. You enjoy it with your eyes from a distance to allow it to be wild and free.
So coming up in the next couple episodes, we're going to be talking to some really cool people. We're going to have an episode that kind of talks about the differences in herping between the West Coast and the East Coast with someone who was originally from Rhode Island and did a lot of herping there, which is really cool. Be fun. I didn't even know there were herps on Rhode Island.
Neither did I.
Honestly, I didn't even know Rhode Island existed. I mean, what is Rhode Island? Anyway.
I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit of a bucket list. I'd love to see Rhode Island.
Well, now that I know some of the herps there, I definitely want to see Rhode Island. But he's super cool. He's got a really great... he's got some really great stuff to kind of share with us. So that'll be a fun episode. We're going to talk to a buddy of mine who works with snakes on movie sets. And so that's going to be cool. He does snake wrangling for the movies. He also does animal training for the movies. So that'll be really cool. We're going to have Danny back on to do other episodes, which is going to be fun.
He was a crowd pleaser. Danny is a fun one. So we're definitely going to bring him back on.
We're going to have the other Greg on to talk about his YouTube channel. We're hopefully going to go up north to the Bay Area and meet with Brandon. A lot of you know him as Biology Brandon. We're going to do an episode with him. So we're going to have some fun stuff coming up.
There's a lot in store that's coming up.
We're just getting started.
So the first season of Wood-Fired Herping really is just kicking off. So you know what? Go ahead and subscribe to wherever you get your podcast. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify.
I just find out we're also on Amazon Music Podcasts. I didn't even know we were. We're on Amazon too.
I didn't know that either. We're right there. Amazon Music Podcast. Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and hit the little pluses on Apple Podcasts so you get a notification every time that we upload. There's so much coming in store, and we can't wait to share it all with you. So hop in the car. Let's go.